The Maxforce 9, huh?
Yep.
And you never see that, like you were saying, the coolant is here,
Yeah,
and the oil's here.
The coolant all runs through here. The water pump would go right here. So this is the coolant side. All this would be the oil side.
But you never see failures where the coolant and the oil are mixing.
No. Typically, you're going to see it leak up there because that's where the reservoir is for the high pressure oil pump. It feeds right. So that's why there's 2 bolts there. This whole cavity will fill with oil, but it'll be under oil pressure so they can feed the high pressure oil pump. We'll see the cover sometimes leak up in there. Never here, but kind of like up here, they'll think the cylinder head's leaking, and it's actually because this is under oil pressure, like engine oil pressure. Like this is just oil coming down, dripping, lubing these. But this oil comes through here, straight off the oil pump, goes to the oil filter, then goes here and fills that whole thing with oil to run the high pressure pump. But we usually never ever see a failure like from the water side, which is just through here. We never see water intrusion going that way. Usually when it leaks, for some reason it leaks on the outside. This one was leaking down here, and we found that the gasket, that gasket is that, you know, that round gasket that fits in that groove,
Yeah.
it's just flat right there. So just right there it got flat, but it would take forever to make it leak. If you pressure tested it, it wouldn't leak. Customer kept complaining about losing coolant but not seeing anywhere. And so we got the engine hot, put it under pressure for probably 6 hours, and we started to see a little bit of residual between, this is the rear part of the cover, and then the front cover, and there was like a little bit of right there. But the cover itself is still in good shape. I mean, you can tell they were running water through it. I mean, we cleaned it, but the corrosion that we see, they weren't running all coolant. It was probably been leaking for a while. They kept adding water instead of adding coolant. So now there's some porosity, but I think it's all savable. It's not like we've seen them before where there's so much porosity that we have to take the rear cover off too. Which sucks because you got to pull the cam. You know, they say you can pull this cam gear and you can pull some of them, but
You can't.
well, you can, but it's like you have a good chance of breaking that gear. But it's just a nightmare, right? Because the motor mount, that is the motor mount. So just to get the front cover off, you got to pull the motor mount plate, support the engine from below, pull the motor mount out, right? Pull the front cover, then put it back so you can support the engine so you don't have like a bottle jack holding it up. But it's a pain because this is what holds the front of the engine. And there's 2 motor mounts in the back that hold the transmission and the engine. And it's like, what do you know, with all this, I guess you could put a cherry picker on it, but you know, the attachments on the cylinder head, you can't even get to them. The engine's pushed back so far.
You have to use a jack stand.
We just use a bottle jack. We made a tool, you know, like a tool that we could get up under there with a bottle jack and hold it under the bottom against the block.
Do you think it was flat right there because it wasn't torqued right?
It could be. I don't think so. I mean, this truck, I don't know what year it is. These trucks don't get that many miles. The truck has probably 70, 80,000 miles on it. So it's not that much. So.
Do you put any RTV on the bolts when you put them back?
Nope.
Just install them dry.
Yep, just install them dry. And then the gasket material lasts for a really long time. I mean, could it have gotten overheated? I guess it could have. I don't know. I mean, when I pulled all the bolts, they all seem tight, but of course they're going to seem tight, you know what I mean? Because when a bolt's in there for 80,000 miles and however many years this truck is, you know, they all feel tight. But yeah, I didn't find any loose bolts or anything.
So this gets more engine hours than it does miles.
I would say yeah, but because it's a fire engine, it's going, you know, a lot of times it just sets. I mean, until there are actual fires. So yeah, I think these trucks probably get maybe 5,000 to 7,000 miles a year.
Is there a common failure on these engines?
Yes, there are.
What's the number one?
I don't think there is a number one. High pressure oil system has, you know, quite a few problems that we find in these trucks, and I don't know if it's because they set a lot or whatever. They'll talk about it doesn't start fast enough. So the injection or the high pressure oil pump's usually good. We pull the valve cover off. Sometimes you find an injector that's leaking high pressure oil. Sometimes we'll see the ICP sensor, which monitors that pressure, will be leaking. Sometimes these things have an engine brake. Sometimes the sensor or the solenoid or the sensor will be leaking oil. You know, so the pump can't overcome when it's cranking. Once it's running, it can overcome any leak But to get it started, sometimes it'll say, you know, instead of it starting in like 2 seconds, it'll take like 5 seconds to start. I mean,
Just tell the customer it's 5 seconds now. It's not 2 seconds no more.
but these guys, because of what they do, they expect to get in it and fire it up. It's going to start every time. It's going to start fast. But, I mean, the engines do have a lot of problems, but I don't know. We used to run these. I ran a couple of these in trucks that I owned. I never had any problems. We serviced them all the time. We took care of them. There's a check engine light. We fixed it. So, I don't know if it's neglect. And then, too, it's an emergency response vehicle. So, you know, they just get in it and just drill it. You know what I mean? Just, you know, thing can be cold or whatever, and just take it out and drive it hard. I don't know. I don't know what they do.
Yeah, they don't care.
Maybe.
All right, guys, we're here with Darren, and if you guys need help, I will put a link down in the description below, and I'll actually put it on the screen right now, but he is with Direct Truck and Diesel Repair in San Bernardino. Just give him a call, shoot him an email, smoke signal, text him, whatever. He can help you out with all your diesel needs. Anything you want to say?
We're looking for technicians always.
Yes, he's hiring. He's hiring technicians. If you guys have some experience.
I'm the owner, and I'm out here working because there's not enough people to turn wrenches anymore.
So if you need help with your truck or you need a job, give him a call.